I'm here to make a how-to Photoshop video series. Hoping to train people, show you how to use Photoshop. I decided to do it just because I wanted to start making YouTube videos, and I was just trying to find something easy, not too complicated to do. And I thought to myself, what do I know, and what I like to share with people, or what am I passionate about? And Photoshop came up immediately. So I decided to make a little video series on how to do Photoshop, maybe every week or something, show tips, tricks on how to use a program, and how you could improve yourself. So this is like an introductory video just to give you an idea of what I'm going to do now. So I think I made a little list here of what I want to talk about in the first video. The video I'm making right now is more for probably beginners, I want to say. I guess if this gets popular, and then I don't really consider myself an expert. Really like a moderate user. Let's see. I guess this training, yeah, just for beginners, mainly beginners, people trying to start using Photoshop, and want to learn more. I learn better by watching videos more than following tutorials online. Let's see. So that's topics done. We get that race. Have a little guideline, so yeah, I'll just go see or follow along. So a little bit, and then talked about myself, a little about me, about how I got into Photoshop, what I use it for, and how long I've been using it. So I started using Photoshop probably around 2007 or 8, and I got into it just because I used to go on forums a lot, and I see a lot of people have like signatures. When you post a topic, there's a little signature on the bottom, a little place where you put a little picture. And I noticed that everyone has a personalized one, and I was trying to figure out how to get those. I thought they'll just be online and be available to use as a resource, but that turns out to be wrong. So I decided to learn Photoshop, or I decided to do a little research and find out how people make these, and I found out that the program people use was Photoshop. So I got myself a copy of Photoshop CS2, and I looked online on how to use it. When I first opened the program, it's definitely very intimidating, which is why I want to make this series, because I know this is a very intimidating program, which isn't too hard. I mean, once you learn the basics, everything pretty much becomes like second nature. And anyways, I found that, and I wanted to learn how to use it. And over my first started learning how to use it, YouTube was not even around. It was around, but very little resources, not as much as what they have now. So I did find tutorials online and read a lot of forums, do a lot of practices. It took me around a year and a half probably until I got the hang of the program. Then maybe even there 2 years until I finally felt confident, where I felt at a point where the only thing holding me back on Photoshop was just my limitation of my creativity. Right now, what's holding me back in terms of my getting to the next level is definitely my creativity, and probably maybe some little techniques. I never had any formal training, so in this tutorial, like, the terms I'll be using is just what I read or what I believe it does. I wish I knew a little more technically, but I mean, I learned it online using tutorials and stuff, and just read what people said. I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing half the tools or some of the tools correctly. I just know what they do. So that's a little bit about myself. I just want the main things at Photoshop are just signatures. The little, when you're on a forum and you see a little banner, like I said earlier, I have a little DeviantArt pulled up of the topic signatures, just so I can show you what it is. It's just like these little blocks full of these pictures and stuff. None of these are mine though, but I just pulled this up so you get the idea. Here are some tutorials right here on how to use them. That's why I use these a lot back in the day, to learn how to use it. I recommend people using these resources as well. I think further on my lessons, or if this gets popular at all, I might even pull one of these up and do one on a video so you guys can see it. I know some of these words are a little confusing, for beginners especially, but here's some examples of signatures right here, little boxes of them. This is like the stuff kind of made when I first started. Just basic things. This one looks a little more advanced, basic, but anyways, that's a little bit about myself and what I use Photoshop for. You, I like these signature because they're small files and not too big. So if you plan to use Photoshop and you're limited by like your computer, maybe you might need a more powerful computer or something really expensive. You don't. With these little signatures, I mean, you can use it pretty much like a really cheap PC and have Photoshop installed, and you should be able to make these because they're really small files and they're small little pieces of art, which is good because you don't need. It's not like a big expense for someone for or like a what's that word? Anyways, like a level entry is not too expensive. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. You just go hop in and start doing it, and don't have to invest too much money on it if you just want to learn or you're just curious about it, and possibly make this into a career or something like that. I personally use this as a hobby or just it's like a meditation because it's almost like doing a puzzle. You know, you'll understand that more as we go along, anyways. But anyways, that's enough about myself. I talked about probably for another 2 minutes or something. The last thing I want to talk about is what you can use in this last video. I want to talk about what you can use Photoshop for. So what you can use Photoshop for is a lot of things. Like it's you can use it to like change pictures around, make people bigger, skinnier, taller. Just change a lot of details. Pretty much manipulate the picture to anything you want. Like you have an idea in your head, and you want to make that into a picture. You know you have A. You start off with a picture right here, which is A, and you have an idea in your head, which is B. So Photoshop helps you take that A to B by giving you all these tools and resources for you to get there. That's a very vague explanation of it, but it's just a lot of artists pretty much have like an end goal in their head, like a vague idea, and they start off with some like a blank slate, which is A usually, and then you work your way towards the end goal eventually. Well, that's the way I see Photoshop anyways, but anyways, let me show you a visual understanding of it. So Photoshop works in a way of layers. So just like a cake, you build layers up. So in this side here, when you first open it up, it won't look like this, the way I have it laid out. This is the way I like it. You could change this to any way you want. I might show that in another video later. But this is the way I like it. I like it to have it navigate, so I can make it, you know, bigger, smaller, just in case I work with like really small pictures. I want to make it a little bigger, so I zoom in and work on like finer details. These are the layers. It shows you all the layers you have. You could hide them, adjust them, move them around. This is like a little example I made. You move them around the layers. Well, that's the wrong layer, but make sure you're on the right layer when you move it around. So you can move the layer around. You could hide them. Hide this one, reveal this one only, move this one around a little bit, hide this one. It's pretty much, you start off with something, you just layer it on, layer on, layer on until you get to your angle eventually. The amount of layers you use, the kind of efficiency you use, the way you organize the layers is what's going to make your work either easier, simpler. It just allows you to do a lot of things because within these layers you can do so much that could affect the picture that make it so like really different. So that's what Photoshop is pretty much. You start with a blank slate and you just add layers and layers and layers and layers until you end up with something that you know you like or what you're trying to get to. This is nice because within this layer here, if I wanted to erase something, I want to erase this yellow part here. I won't erase the white part. That's a different layer. So what you do in one layer will not affect the other layers, which is really cool because like you can just go into this detail here when you make this layer, you just erase this yellow part and you leave the white part there. Or in this red layer here, you can erase this red part here. It doesn't affect the yellow or white portion of it. Also within Photoshop, the reason I don't like drawing on paper or painting is because if you make a mistake, it's really hard to like get that fixed. Within Photoshop, they have such a great luxury of you make a mistake, there's a whole history of what you just did, so you can literally just go back and have the mistake fixed. It's really cool because I use this so much, which is why this is a big portion of my workspace. Because I mean, it's Photoshop or art is pretty much you know testing something out and see if it works. If it doesn't work, you know, you can always go back, change it to something that does work, you know, or see what it does do. Like if you're curious about, let's say if I'm curious about what happens if I get this brush here, go here, get a different color, pink, and draw here, and see how it will look like. Well, you know, I don't think that looks good, so I can just, you know, go back and this goes away. Or I do think it looks good and I want to add more onto it, I can just definitely just do that. And I realize, oh, I just made a mistake. I just go back, and the part I'll still like is here, but the mistake's gone. So it's just a lot of trial and error until you eventually end up with something you like. Let's see. But within Photoshop, you can do so much things. I mean, make pictures different, change lighting. This turn things really different. I don't know, put someone's head on another person, things like that. I just like it a lot because it really it doesn't limit your creativity, but what limits you is your own creativity, not the program or tools, which is why I like it so much. So anyways, in this series, I plan to just teach you ways on how to Photoshop. Just teach you some basics. Hopefully get you to a point where you could, you know, make Photoshops like this, understand the program more. Pretty much like my idea of the only thing limiting you is just your creativity, not the program. So get you to the point where, you know, Photoshop's not limiting you, it's just what you could make based on your creativity. Hopefully you make things like this or this, stuff like that. So this is just an introduction on what I'll be doing. I'll make another video shortly, probably on, I'm not sure yet, I'll think about it and then we'll get to there. I am using Photoshop on a Mac, so this will probably cater more towards Mac users, but I mean, if you have a Windows computer with Photoshop as well, it's pretty much the same. The only difference is that the icons might look a little different, but it's pretty much the same. It's universal on both systems. But that's it for video 1.